All right, folks, good afternoon, and welcome to the Marketplace Reset. I'm Anthony Weeks, your host, and I will be joined by my colleague, of course, on the first segment of the show. But before I bring him in, obviously like to be able to introduce my colleagues for this segment, and I would be remiss if I did not do the proper introduction for my colleagues. So here we go.
The reopening measures are slowly taking place amid the coronavirus pandemic. Malls and restaurants are working again, and factories move more and more of their personnel back into the offices. However, that doesn't mean that people won't get sick anymore. On the contrary, there are now many more chances of spreading the virus even farther. To protect the employees and clients of your business, we developed Thermo control screening stations. It is a quick and safe solution. Thermo control measures temperature at a distance of 25 centimeters. The device is autonomous. It does not require an additional employee to conduct temperature measurements or log the results. It can measure and even recognize masked faces. All of the results are logged automatically and stored in the database. You can use the station to ensure your clients and employees access to your building automatically.
John Smith Robot.
The station can issue entrance passes and grant access to the building after it measured the person's temperature. If the visitor's temperature is high, a notification will be sent and a potential carrier of the virus can't access the building. Thermo Control can send SMS and messenger notifications, as well as notifications over email. Temperature measurement technologies allow businesses to ensure the safety of people and potentially save lives all over the world.
All right, folks, happy Wednesday. I was about to say happy Monday. This is the middle of the week, and so I'm glad to be here with you. As always, broadcasting live on television as well as radio and on social media and online. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Again, I'm Anthony Weeks, and I'm your host, and I have my colleague, Carolyn Howell and Linda Dorman as my co-hosts in this segment. They are broadcasting live from the DMV area. That's the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. And we're going to be joined by their special guests in a little bit. But before I do, let me bring in my colleague, Carolyn. I believe I see Carolyn there. Good afternoon, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully, and my co-founder and co-partner and co-host Linda is behind the scenes working strategic business. You know, we have a company.
She's doing her thing.
She's doing her thing, and so you've always got to have. It's always good. You got to have somebody in the wings and somebody that's actually flying the plane. So, right now, Linda's handling some really wonderful connections and business processes that we need to go through, and she hopefully will jump on at some point. But I appreciate you showing our commercial. We are very pleased to be able to have one of the premier temperature scanning solutions that we are offering to companies, and we actually showcased that this past weekend at the Mayflower Hotel during a gala. So we expect that a lot of the things are coming up over the next few weeks around celebrations, etc., for companies as well as federally that people will be looking for us. So we are here.
I'm looking forward to that live demo you guys promised me on the show.
Absolutely. We will do that one day as the show, just so that you get the real sense of it. We will do that as the show.
Fantastic. We didn't broadcast last week in observance of Veterans Day. And so we took a well-deserved break off. I hope you had a wonderful Veterans Day holiday. You had a great week, and here we are today. And so we're looking forward to a great conversation. What are we going to be talking about today?
So this is wonderful. We actually have Andres Hayes, and he is in Washington, D.C. When you hear us refer to D.C., that's the District of Columbia. People in the District of Columbia prefer that you say District of Columbia. So he is actually the International Business Manager for the Office of the Deputy Mayor's Planning and Economic Development. And he has very strong ties internationally, as you would expect. And Andres is a wealth of information. He has an incredible background. So he's going to kind of let us understand what's going on in the international space right now. You're broadcasting from the U.S. Virgin Islands. And so, while we are one nation. you
But
know.
guess what, though? Guess what, though? I'm in the Virgin Islands, but all my colleagues are throughout the country. But more important, our television show is on Verizon Fios and Time Warner Cable. And so we broadcast on the northeast corridor of the country. So you can also watch us on cable on Verizon Fios in the Washington, D.C. area as well.
Okay. What's that channel? What is that channel? Because we have
Tempo Networks. So we broadcast on Tempo Networks, television, and cable TV on Verizon Fios, and we're also live on our Spanish partners platform, La Mega Mundial, and then of course here in the Virgin Islands, WSTX 970 AM, and of course broadcasting along all social media platform, YouTube, Facebook as well. So. I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to let people know they have different options to watch us as well. So let's bring in your guests. If you want to do that now, is that fine?
Yes, by all means. Andres,
Fantastic.
how are you?
Hi, Caroline. How are you doing?
I am so happy, and I'm so happy for you to meet in person Anthony Weeks, broadcasting from the U.S. Virgin Islands. But what a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to meet you, Anthony. Pleasure to meet you, and thanks again for the wonderful invitation.
Well, one thing we want you to do at the outset. Now, you're missing Linda Dorman, my co-conspirator. You're missing her, my co-partner, and she'll be hopping on hopefully later. But Andres, just give us a little bit, just a pin drop of your background, because you are really very well connected internationally.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Well, as you know, I started my career in banking, and I actually worked for Visa for many years, and then I had the privilege to work in multiple offices of Visa throughout the world. I had the privilege to work lived in London, also lived in Paris, working, staying within the financial system. I also was in Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Brazil, then back to Panama. That's where I'm originally from. So, Anthony, I like the fact that you have Spanish-speaking networks. Así que yo hablo español perfectamente.
Yes, absolutely. We're in 90 Latin markets.
Excellent. I love it. And then also now I actually started here in DC. I did have a shift of a career. I always had a passion for the hospitality and tourism industry. And then, of course, Caroline, you and I met because, we sat in multiple boards here in DC. We developed a friendship. I also joined a great organization, as you know, it's called International, which actually is a network of members of the hospitality and tourism industry, 14,000 worldwide. And now I had the privilege to work for the city of Washington, D.C. under the mayor, our fabulous mayor, Muriel Bowser, as the international business manager. And I'm responsible for 4 things here in the district. Let's start with number 1. The first thing I'm responsible for is bringing foreign direct investment. Okay, so I along with my esteemed colleagues, what we do, we reach out based on the advantage that we have here in the city, that we host over 180 embassies. We actually have a direct connection with them, and we started what we call the Embassy Series program, which I'm going to get into more details in a minute. So also I'm responsible for those cities and countries that are investing in Washington. I'm responsible to ensure that they stay in the city and they expand that relationship. The third thing that I'm responsible is for export. So what we do, we work with our SMEs, meaning small and medium-sized businesses, to be able to promote their products and services abroad. And that's critical. So who do we partner with? For this exercise? We partner with the DC Chamber of Commerce along with the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We work also with the U.S. Chamber. We work with the Board of Trade, Event CC, and Destination DC, which is our DMO, and Event CC, the entity that controls our convention centers, sports arenas as well. Now, the fourth thing that we're responsible in terms to international development is all of the international, or let's call it this way, diplomatic/trade missions of the city. So every time the mayor goes in a mission, we actually responsible to plan that from A to Z in every single aspect of it. I had the privilege to coordinate 3 missions for our mayor. The first one was to El Salvador, which we actually had a 51-person delegation. It was great. It was extremely successful because we were able to also sign a sister city agreement with the city of San Salvador. We also had the privilege to fly to Israel last year. That was actually 49-person delegation. And then we had last year also we went to Ethiopia, and we had a 71-person delegation. So that was really wonderful. And we did actually renew our sister city agreement with the city of Addis Ababa.
Wow.
So those are the 4 things that we're responsible for. We are extremely busy here in the city. And if you know, Caroline, things and Anthony, things have changed. We have had to shift our strategy because of the current pandemic that we're actually facing.
Wow. So when you think in terms of international market, and definitely thinking of things up in the Caribbean, as well as in the DC metropolitan area, the DMV, as business manager, you said things have had to shift and things have had to change. Right now, there are no trade missions going on.
No.
I remember we were working, if you will, to a trade mission to the Bahamas, but essentially, what are you doing at this exact moment to keep business flowing?
Well, Caroline, as you know, this is a time to become creative.
Yes.
So what we have done is now we everything is done virtually, of course. So even my Zoom calls with the embassies and the stakeholders is done virtually. Also, we not necessarily mean that we cannot travel. We cannot do missions. So we will be actually doing virtual trade missions.
To where and how?
Well, the same thing. We're actually going to be doing some calls. We're going to be doing matchmaking with companies overseas. We're going to be, but instead of actually doing in person, we're going to be working, directly with, our platforms. That's what we're going to be utilizing. We're bringing our partners. So the strategy, let me step back and let me explain to you a little bit of our strategy. The first thing is, we are working very close with the DC Chamber of Commerce for this one. So what are we doing is, we have talked to we have identified 23 countries in the district that are actually, that work very close with or we want them to work with the district. So 23 countries, and what we have done is actually establish communication with the embassies. And then we have established FDI strategy with them, either because they're currently investing in the district or in the US, or they want to invest here in the district. So what we have done is create a strategy with them. Now we bring in the chamber so the chamber can understand how each country operates, and then they can disseminate that information to the database or the membership base. And then the same thing our stakeholders are going to do on the other side, identify companies that might be interested in working in DC, and then we're going to do the matchmaking.
Oh, all right.
So it's a different concept.
It is a different concept, but I see how that can absolutely work.
Definitely.
So company,
Definitely.
For instance, if we're looking, and even in the Caribbean market, if we have goods and services there, and we are a company that may obviously be impacted by COVID, but is desirous of doing business with the District of Columbia, there is still that opportunity. How does they find their way to you?
Well, right now, they can actually visit our website. They can go to our dc.gov, or they can actually visit DMPED, DMPED, DMPEDDC.gov, and they will be able to have access to our link.
And DMPED stands for?
Deputy Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. Thank you very much. Okay, here at the DC government, we work with tons of acronyms, so thank you for bringing that.
So when you say DMPED, knowing that they're with planning and economic development, that can really be exciting for companies. Because
extremely excited.
This platform that we're on right now has a marketplace, because we're trying to create a chain of efficacy where people that may have goods and services that could help us in our fight against COVID, and to get back to a different level of normalcy, a safe normalcy. It has access to so many things, but go ahead and say what you were saying.
No, you're absolutely correct. And this is the time, like I said before, to become creative. So I know actually it took you a little bit of surprise how we're going to do it if it's not in person.
Right.
But listen, we can still do it. We did a gala this weekend. You and I were together this weekend at the gala, and it was actually fantastic. Hey, Linda, great to see you.
Very good to see you, Mr. Hayes, and my beautiful partner, Carolyn Howe, and that dashing man up in the corner is Anthony Weeks. So
yes,
you all have had a fantastic conversation, and I'm so glad to be a spectator for a short period of time. We got our work done, and I came in at the right time to talk to you when you said we were, Carolyn and you, and our orange thermal control technology was.
Hey, I had to say I did use it on the weekend, so that was great.
Exactly.
So what we're planning to do, like I said before, is to be able to connect, and at one point, of course, we got to be optimistic about this. Hopefully, it's going to be in the near future. We'll be able to do, meet in person again. But that doesn't mean that we can start, that we have to limit our exercise of doing all the due diligence prior to that. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So for next year, we're planning to do 2 of them, 4 of them actually, virtual traineeships. Yeah. And also one of them is going to be to the Caribbean. It's going to be Spanish speaking Caribbean, but it's going to be to the Caribbean. And most likely it's going to be the Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. That's exciting for us because sometimes, like you said, this is a time for creativity. Yes. So I think about all of those companies that can benefit by having a direct connection to the office of the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development and Planning. And so when we think about having you here, that's a pretty cool asset to be able to reach out, touch, connect, and do business with.
And that's the way.
And I have a question relating to that. As we sit in the most powerful city in the world, and you therefore sit in a very powerful seat in the most powerful city in the whole wide world. Mm-hmm. Do you connect with your colleagues in similar positions to look at and kind of cross-pollinate opportunities and make sure, because we're now in this global pandemic economy where all of us can benefit?
Yes.
And do some cross-learning. Carolyn and I have, we actually love the fact that our company has already, by virtue of our product, touched and are part of the international community.
Yeah. We
want to be more vibrant in that, not just in North America, but across other parts of the world. And someone like yourself has a sight on those kinds of opportunities because you have those relationships.
Yes, Linda, and thank you for that. And the answer to that is yes. Almost on a daily basis, communication with the world. I'm doing conference calls either with the embassies or with the local stakeholders, such as, for instance, in Israel. So I have to get up a little bit early in the morning to be able to talk with the family difference. Recently, I had a conference call in Africa. We talked to Central South America, different countries. So yes, almost every day we're in constant communication. What is the purpose? First of all, to, like I said, as part of our strategies to promote the city. As you see, I'm wearing my T-shirt. Obviously,
I was just going to say that hashtag.
Obviously, DC. And then also to be able to exchange ideas on how they're operating and dealing with this pandemic from an international perspective. And one of the advantages that we have here, despite, that we're going through this horrible pandemic, is the fact that, like you said, we're in the most, let's call it, I'm trying to be careful of my words here, the most interesting city.
Well, now we do. We used to say powerful. I'm a native Washingtonian, and we wore that attribute. But yes, interesting is probably an applicable word, and we appreciate that too.
Yeah. And then, of course, from an economic development perspective, yes, we do host the federal government. We host several companies here that are in different industry sectors. As you know, right now, hospitality and tourism industry has had a huge impact. Okay. So we're actually keeping a close eye in that industry as we speak. We also have cybersecurity. Of course, that those companies that provide cybersecurity services to the federal government and to other agencies. So it's keeping it interesting. We keep an advantage here. Part of our campaign as well for obviously DC to attract more companies into the district. Linda and Caroline, is the fact that, my biggest challenge, let me step back a second. What was my biggest challenge?
Yes.
My biggest challenge was to put DC in the radar and to attract more companies to the district. That was my biggest challenge. When I talked about Washington, DC, the first thing that comes to people's mind, 2 things here. The first one, oh, okay. basically you're just the capital of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, oh, you got the White House and the monument.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that.
And listen, the three of us know Washington is more than that.
Much, much more.
You got it. Yes, we do host 180 embassies. We have 18 Michelin stars. Most educated city in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top entrepreneurial cities in the United States and the world.
Wow.
Okay?
Yes.
And the list goes on. So when I give all those accolades and facts to the potential stakeholders, their face goes blank.
That's
You normally
amazing.
don't think that.
Because they're in disbelief and says, oh my God, Andres, I was not aware.
And
So
we have
we're
the
in the
federal
pro-
government here.
Yes, of course. We host the federal government.
That's correct.
You know, and we're not just the federal government and the Smithsonian. We're more than that. We actually have 3 major international airports at proximity of 45 minutes from each other.
And the World Bank. So we have international banking.
The list goes on. You're
IMF
absolutely
Bank,
correct.
International Monetary Fund.
And the list goes on, Linda. The list goes on in terms
list
of
goes on.
what do we do and what do we actually have to offer here in DC.
Yes.
And not only that, let me tell you something. We're actually one of the top cities when it comes to the metro system, local transportation. We're in the top. Yes, we're in one of the top cities when it comes to startup companies, and in terms of the IT sector.
Oh, that's good to know.
So this is good to know. So these are the type of things that attract more investors into the city. So, like I said, we're more from the 2 things that we mentioned. Yes, we're happy and we're glad that we host, the federal government, that we host the White House and the monument, but we're more than that, as you know. So when I present these facts to the potential stakeholders or current stakeholders, it blows their mind completely. So it's more of an education process. As soon as we actually cross that barrier, I can openly say they have been extremely interested in partnering with the city.
I think that's fantastic. I see that you're number 2 in the world for entrepreneurial talent.
Yes.
Number 2 city for women in technology. I mean, that's incredible. And number 3 for minority entrepreneurs. I mean, Linda,
Yes.
we feel 2 and 3.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes. Yes.
And we want to know how, as many of our colleagues, not only just here, but in our listening and viewing audience, how to leverage that, quite honestly, as they either pivot, tack, or just transform themselves, knowing that today is a different day than ever before, because individuals have discovered their entrepreneurial spirit because out of necessity, and then they've come to realize we live in such a technologically advanced that you can pop up a wonderful, viable website that has the products that you've always wanted to sell, and the next thing you know, you're making more money than you ever made annually in your regular job that you thought was going to be your COVID, survival plan, but it turns out to be your thriving plan.
Yes.
And so we want to be in a position to help people to think positively as we hear these numbers go up in the cases, and disconnect the negative from the positive so that people can have a future and be responsible for that. What do you think are some of the key things that businesses can help their workforce to really think about? Because the responsibility hasn't necessarily been on the workforce to educate their employees around COVID safety. We've all looked at our safety, our government, and our health and human services organizations, but really our employers have some support in that as well. Would you have something that you might be able to share in that regard?
You're absolutely correct. And I think comes from within as well. To build that entrepreneurship desire, it needs to come from within. From a company perspective, in terms to a current workforce, yes, you have to depends on the field as well, because some of them won't be able to do it, but they have to actually change their overall strategy and how to the current models of operandi in trying to shift it to a different one.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. Like, for instance, we look at the restaurants. Of course, as you know, they had a huge hit.
Yeah.
But then some of them had to become creative. Okay, what are we going to do now? Should we focus now more in terms to delivery or takeout? So, they have to shift their strategy in terms of that. Well, how are we going to be packaging our food in terms to, or doing packages in terms to, should we actually do beverages? Should we do dessert, an entree, and a main course bundle everything up at a specific price? In terms of the street, as you know, in DC, the city was able to actually do the streetery project. So we actually gave them some of the streets so they can actually do outdoor seating.
Yes,
and
that was
alleys.
brilliant.
Yep. And as you know, some of the restaurants now that the temperature's starting to drop a little bit are doing the igloos, as we call them.
Yes, and that's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah,
And I saw that Clyde's Restaurant, there was an article the other day that said that they're going to start to do pop-ups throughout the city or something to that
That's
effect.
right. Yeah. So it's in this case, what I'm answering your question, Lynn, is the fact that you have to become creative. Insertive. And again, do your research. I believe nowadays there's a lot of information out there from different sources that would help you determine or guide you to that next step.
Yes.
And also, let's also consider, what about the international side of it as well? You might not be able to do local, but you will be able to provide your professional services. To other entities. Like, for instance, we did, we did last year the trade missions through the DC Chamber of Commerce to the Bahamas. And again, unfortunately, they were hit with a hurricane after that. But even though now they're starting to rebuild, it still gives us the opportunity to continue what we started. Okay. And because we're not a manufacturing city, but we have a lot to offer when it comes to professional services.
Yes. And is the surrounding areas in collaboration with other governments? We've seen this terrific cooperation as a whole. I'm so proud of the District of Columbia, and Mayor Bowser is phenomenal, phenom, amazing. But I also like the leadership in bringing in other county executives to the table, because we are such a transit community, like many other communities, where our listeners both here in the U.S. are hearing and listening to us and seeing, and your comments are so critical to them to better support. But I'm going to leave the last question to my colleague who started out and just held the fort down. So I know you.
No, I was loving it all. So Andres, because believe it or not, 30 minutes goes like that, right?
Oh my God, yes. Time flies. We're having fun.
We will absolutely have to bring you back.
Yes, we will.
It's good to know.
Wait a minute. I don't get to ask any questions.
Okay, all right.
Wait a minute. I'm waiting my turn here to get in.
Go on.
No, ask your last question, and then I will chime in after that.
Well, this might be far more expansive, because I was just thinking in terms of, I know that we have a saying that Washington, D.C. is open for business, and a lot of places say that. But for people who really want to be a part of what is and still is a very vibrant economy despite COVID, what is the best thing they can do? What is the best place to start? You said there are plenty of resources. Where is the best place to start to look?
I would recommend to visit their chambers. That will be actually one of the best resources in terms of what's happening in the community. To visit our website as well, dc.gov, because then that will actually help them to have an understanding of what we're doing as a city from an economic development perspective. And in terms to what's happening today, okay, I also recommend to visit our website, which is coronavirusdc.gov.
Oh.
Wow. Coronavirus
DC.gov. Yeah. That will give them also a clear perspective of what the city is doing from a healthcare, economic development, infrastructure, all levels of what is our initiative that our amazing mayor is doing along with her team.
Yes.
To be able to control the spread of the virus.
Okay.
Okay. As you all know, we have done a lot of recovery relief programs through grants. We feel that we still have to give back to the community, so we have done quite a long, few of them. So if they want to get into our website, they will be able to actually get more details. And that's just to give them an idea of what the city is doing. Okay. So those are my recommendations, to be able to actually talk to your local stakeholders or local partners to see what they're doing as a city. First of all, how they can actually take advantage of different programs. And third, educate yourself in terms to how can you think? Well, not how can you think, but how can it makes you, it will make you think outside of the box.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys are great partners. We applaud the effort, and we hope that you and your family continue to stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you as well. You as well.
Anthony, we know you have a question. We're not going to let you get away. We
Thank you so much. You're so kind. So, Andreas,
Yes.
how familiar are you with the United States Virgin Islands?
Very familiar. Actually, let me put it this way, Anthony. I don't think there's been a single island in the Caribbean that I have not visited.
Wow.
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 So we're an unincorporated
Mhm.
territory of the United States. So we're not a state, but we function like a state.
That's
Okay.
right.
And we have a representative in the House of Representative Congress, Congress Stacey Plaskett.
Mhm.
The governor also has a regional office in Washington D.C.
Mhm.
And so our ties to Washington D.C. and also clearly when you think of the Caribbean diaspora as well as Virgin Islanders, there's a strong contingency of Virgin Islanders in the Washington D.C. area.
Yes. Mhm.
And let me just kind of put on my other hat for a second. I've been appointed by Governor Albert Bryan as the Special Economic Envoy to Taiwan and the Asian Pacific region.
Okay.
So as I'm listening to you talk about international business opportunity, what I'm also hearing, I see an opportunity for the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Washington D.C. to create some collaborative opportunities because when you think of the redrawing of the global supply chain
Yes.
and bringing that supply chain back to the United States, I think there is a lot to be said if states collaborate with other states, obviously with territories as well. And so when you think of my relationship with Taiwan in Asia, as well as my relationship in Europe with the UK,
Yes.
I would like to have an opportunity for you and I to have some discussion as to some of the things we're doing right now and look at how we can, collaborate between ourselves and Washington, D.C., because we already have the geopolitical, relationship in place. So let's talk about how we can now expand on the economic development side of working together to open up opportunities in the international arena in that global supply chain. Is that something that you are amenable to and open to?
I'm definitely open to it. And let me tell you something. We have developed an international business plan, and we also have, as I mentioned before, our Embassy Series program. So I will be more than happy to set up a meeting with you and the rest of my team so we can discuss in more detail and share ideas and probably collaborate together, and definitely open for it.
I'm excited about that. I really see some strong synergy there, and I think if we put our collective minds together, I think we can open up some gates of opportunity, windows of opportunities for both the Washington D.C. Oh, I'm sorry, the DMV area. I was told it's not just Washington, but it's DMV area, and of course having my colleagues, Carolyn and Linda there, and some of the wonderful things they're doing in technology and AI. And the redrawing of this global supply chain, we're now looking to expand in manufacturing. You said that you're not a manufacturing region. Destination, but we are in the manufacturing space, and we believe we can lend to how we can work together in manufacturing, assembly, and distribution as well.
Now, just to clarify one thing, Anthony, unfortunately, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. Okay. So I'm just going to limit in terms of Washington, D.C. and not the DMV.
That's okay.
What we're going to do.
Remember what I keep saying is obviously D.C. Okay.
It's obviously D.C.
And I'm just going to be a little bit selfish here in this aspect. Okay.
You know what?
Okay.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. You ought to be.
And you know something? I'm a native Washingtonian, born and raised right at George Washington University Hospital, right down there in downtown D.C.
Excellent.
And I will say this: once we bring that kind of collaboration. And we blueprint that collaboration as Tony and you and with Carolyn and I really helping to gel that and facilitate as his boots on the ground. Literally, then that blue plan becomes replicable in other communities. And so once again, Washington, D.C. will lead the way.
You got it.
Absolutely.
So
And it
that
has
is
to
how
start
Absolutely.
somewhere.
You like
And
that?
to
That's how
your
we're going
point,
to do that.
and to your point, Andres, if you open your jacket a little bit more, we understand that it's obviously DC.
You got it.
We get
You
that.
got it.
Yes. So fear not, Anthony. It will all just become amazing. And there's so many tax advantages and so many business advantages to having co-location in DC and
Yes.
with businesses and in the U.S. Virgin Islands that we could have a very long conversation. But I think I saw our colleague Terry
Did
pop
Terry
in.
pop on and then pop off?
Yeah, she was her frame was screen was frozen, so she had
Okay,
to
no worries.
come back on. So she's going to come back on shortly. But
Well,
yeah, I'm really glad because it's really about job creation and how we can expand and create new businesses.
Yes.
And it's and this may sound strange, but there are some unique opportunities even in this pandemic environment. Because the president-elect Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have committed to again bringing that supply chain back to the United States, and by virtue of doing that, there are manufacturing and assembly opportunity of operation. In terms of how we bring value to that supply chain for distribution and warehousing, and so there are just different things we can do that allow us to be able to bring the market closer to our respective districts.
Yes.
I think that's so true. And it's a natural fit at that.
It absolutely is. And why not? Why people don't need to reinvent the wheel. They can look at a lot of, even for companies that are already existing in U.S. Virgin Islands and in other places in the Caribbean, they can look at what some of the really clever companies have done here in Washington, D.C., some of those restaurants, some of those ideas. That sharing of that brain power is amazing. They're doing amazing things we can learn from. We're doing amazing things in Washington, D.C. that they can learn from. So I say this conversation needs to continue to be expanded on many times over. And we're just really grateful, Andres. We know that you moved around a lot in your schedule
Yes.
to be on this show.
Thank
You
you.
were already booked up at this time. So we are so grateful. But this is just part one with you. We will absolutely have to bring you back
I'll be
on.
delighted.
Yeah,
I'll be
yes.
delighted to
We
actually
will bring you
have
back
a
on, and
conversation.
we will
Yeah.
with a very targeted message around for the next steps of what we can do.
Thank you very
Fantastic.
much. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank
All
you
right,
guys
so-
for having me
so-
on your show. It was a pleasure. It was an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to actually sit in front of you and your audience. And Anthony, I'm looking forward to continue our conversation.
Right.
And
Like-
Caroline, I hope to see you again. And Linda, I'm looking forward to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
All right, very
Sooner
soon.
than you know.
All
Yes,
right,
very
perfect,
soon.
perfect. Have a wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So ladies,
Yes.
while we wait for you got to keep my company just for a couple of minutes.
Too.
Always a
Yes,
pleasure.
because Linda is supposed, not Linda, sorry, Terry
Terry.
supposed to be on, but looks like she's having some technical issues. That was fantastic. I got it.
Yes.
And when I tell you about we haven't really been talking, but I've been extremely busy in terms of addressing the global supply chain and how different parts of the region bring certain things to the table. And the Virgin Islands uniquely bring certain things that are very unique to the table in terms of what we can do just by the act of Congress, as well as federal laws and policies, that we're able, that when we partner with another state, we're able to enhance that supply chain of what we can do internationally, whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia, Africa, et cetera, and I think there is some real synergy there, especially the fact that Andreas is familiar with the Caribbean,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my
having
goodness.
some background in the Caribbean. I think that would be a huge asset in that regard.
Exactly.
Well, we are happy to facilitate getting, that next level conversation. And, and I think that is what this program is all about, is helping the listeners who are trying to determine what's their next move economically, whether in business or whether looking back at another, career opportunities, but then being smart about identifying those career opportunities because they're being smart about their research and which companies are being innovative and turning over their product or turning over their services to meet the demand or meet the new supply chain requirements. So it works for all. And I think bringing manufacturing into the region, our region, Carolyn and I have talked about this. We live in a community right outside Washington, D.C., however, where a company could be domiciled, headquartered in Washington, D.C., have their full headquarter operation, and then have land available to mount and erect an amazing manufacturing plant. When we first started talking about our business PPE, we literally weren't looking to initially buy masks and product. We were looking to actually buy the equipment to manufacture them, and looking at the land. That was my mindset, because I could see where there was a huge gap, and therefore trying to meet that gap meant, let's put money towards, let's make an investment toward the equipment. Well, of course, at that time, all the regular, you just couldn't get things into the country, let alone masks. The ideal is still there, that there is regional areas for manufacturing that could bring that so close here and become almost a laboratory around the successes in developing strong manufacturing plant. Biomedical is terrific. Obviously, cybersecurity is significant here. Just product and services where you can have, there's plenty of land. It seems like we're landlocked, and in many ways we can be, but in the outer counties and within the region,
That's it.
that supports, because we're transient, we're able to do that, and that creates the jobs that we're talking about. But then to return that and have that vibrant connection to the U.S. Virgin Islands, it can't get any better.
Yeah, I think that that's pretty amazing. How are you, Terry?
Hi, I'm sorry for the technical difficulties this
Are
morning.
you kidding? We got to sit and talk with Anthony a little bit more, which is something we rarely get to do.
Your segment was awesome, actually. I listened in about what's going on with DC and all the phenomenal opportunities that are available. So thank you, ladies, for an awesome segment. I'm sure that the listeners are going to get a lot from that segment. So thank you.
Wonderful.
And you know what's interesting, ladies? The fact that both the U.S. Virgin Islands and District of Columbia were not states,
Right.
and so. Wouldn't it be interesting to be able to sort of shift the whole conversation and narrative around, oh yeah, we're not a state, but we have a lot to offer, and there are things we can do, being territories, or well, the Virgin Islands are territory. I'm not sure what DC's called, but what is DC called?
They are the District of Columbia.
It's just a district of Columbia. Okay, and so we can come together and do things uniquely that other states can't do. Collectively,
Yeah,
I think you already started that conversation. I think that definitely you'll continue to run with that around those kind of conversations, opportunities, and sometimes sometimes people view it. Oh, you're not a state. What a shame! But you're saying we're not a state, but look what we can do. I think that's
exactly, and we have some secret sauce that a lot of people don't know we have.
yeah.
That is
Seriously,
very true.
seriously, But ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
My partner in crime for the second segment.
All right.
So we'll talk later, guys.
Enjoy your day.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye bye.
Always a pleasure.
All right, Terry. So what's going on? How are you?
What isn't going on? A lot around school closings and not closings, and the back and forth has been a little bit much for especially the parents. And so we're just looking at ways to kind of make that transition a better transition for the students, the parents, and of course the business owners, right? So it always goes back to jumpstarting our economy. So we're looking at numbers. The governor is saying, hold your horses on closing schools. And the mayor is saying, if we get to that 3%, we'll have to close. And so, it's a difficult time. I mean, it's a difficult time, not just here in New York, but also in New Jersey, who has put some more restrictions in place, and of course, Connecticut. And so we have this 10 p.m. thing now where our restaurants are closing again at 10 p.m. and also the liquor stores are closing as well. And so we're looking at, okay, now what next, right? So what next? So we talked about this, Anthony. We talked about bracing for this second set of whatever this is going to be as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And so now we're looking at it a little bit more. And so just just looking at ways to still take this opportunity and take this obstacle and make it into an opportunity for our small businesses. And so one of the things that I'm still doing is getting our businesses certified and connecting them with the key influencers in the government. Because one thing about government contracts is that government contracts is sure money. And so if our businesses are able, if our restaurants are able to still do small catering engagements for our government, or if we're able to do, the restaurant opening, if we're able to get that space so that they could actually practice the social distancing and get a few more people into that, then that's another way to kind of get things moving again. And then quite frankly, New York has also been letting the retail stores now be a part of the sidewalk. And so that's giving opportunities for you to now still come out and shop and to see the wares and still be safe. So those are a lot of things that are going on right now. And we're looking at this influenza season about to take off, encouraging people to continue to stay safe, to get your flu shot, to get tested, because there's so many more testing centers available. And so that's quite frankly where we are right now. So,
that's thanks for that report and update, Terry, because I think for me, the biggest thing we can do for ourselves, where we were not prepared to do on the first wave, we were not ready. So we did not have a posture, a state of readiness.
That's right.
I mean, talk about being ambushed, right?
Yeah.
We didn't see it coming. No one saw this coming, right? No. And life was normal, and out of nowhere, we are in this pandemic,
right? In
this global pandemic, health crisis, economic crisis, and then on top of that, you pile that on with the whole cultural unrest and cultural conflict. I mean, you talk about the perfect storm of so many different forces at play that there was no way any of us were prepared to deal with the conversion.
That's right.
And the contagion of a deadly disease.
That's right.
It's 2020 obviously has been an incredible year of unexpected life events like we've never seen before.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
This time around, based on going through several months, right? 8 months, 9 months of just having to, it's like equivalent to being in a dark room and trying to feel your way around. You can't see anything, and you're just trying to. You don't have the answer, and you're just trying to figure stuff, and you're just bouncing all over the place.
That's right.
And at some point, I think we've now kind of have a better sense of understanding and knowledge of what we're dealing with, and so therefore we should now be, in comparison to the first wave, we should now be at a better state of readiness than before.
Yeah, and is key. Yeah,
and so I'm excited because of what we're doing on the technological side, not only in the healthcare space and our chain of efficacy, but what we're going to do to help small businesses.
Absolutely.
This time around, we're going to make sure that every small business, every mom and pop, Main Street business, who even when they are unable to open their doors for people to come through their doors, that we're going to give them the tools that they need, even in a lockdown, to stay connected and to still do businst.
And that's what it's about. Yeah,
absolutely. And so we're going to be doing that. And what I wanted to do is start now, and then when we sign over to the other studio, I want to kind of circle back to what businesses can do, what they can do to help themselves. And if we can kind of just go through that list again, I think it would be helpful to a lot of our audience, both viewing and listening audience, to know what are some of the things, what are some of the resources and programs and tools that are available to them to be able to assist them to be able to navigate this pandemic.
Awesome. So I'm glad you asked that question. So there are, like I said, where there are obstacles, there are also very much opportunities. And one of those opportunities is the marketplace, right? So giving our businesses an opportunity to get onto the marketplace and be able to sell their wares, their widgets, their professional services, whatever it is, that's going to be key, because you have to be connected. If you're not connected, you're not in business anymore. You can no longer have the luxury of not having a website. You can no longer have the luxury of not having a platform to pay or a platform platform to order. You have to have those things in place in order to stay in business. And JumpStart is giving you those tools. It's giving you these tips. The marketplace is giving you the tools and the tips. And we're coming on every week, giving you updates on what's going on so that you are prepared. Because like you said, before it was like a shot in the dark, right? We had no idea what was coming down the pipeline. Now, all these months later, we know what works. We know what doesn't work, and we know how to move the needle forward. And so we're looking to move the needle forward. There are tons of other resources available in the form of grants. And so I encourage you, to our audience, to our listeners, get in touch with your chambers. Your chambers of commerce are going to definitely be for you a resource because they're in touch with public and private partnerships. And those public and private partnerships are now offering grants to small businesses that are struggling. And so that's another opportunity for you. The EIDL loan is still available until December the 20th. So if an EIDL loan is the economic injury disaster loan through the SBA, the process has been streamlined dramatically. So you literally are going in and just entering your information, and that's because of a small business owner, believe it or not. A small business owner, a Black woman, Erin Green, got the contract from SBA to do the to streamline the EIDL loan process, and that was, I believe, like a $500 million contract, a government contract to do business. So businesses are still in business. And so I'm encouraging you, the other step I'm encouraging you to do is to get certified. The Virgin Islands, the whole island, is a hub zone. And so you can certify under SBA as a hub zone, and you'll be able to get access to government contracting opportunities because those opportunities still exist. The government is looking for people for PPE equipment. The government is looking for people that are able to provide like the partitions to make sure you're social distancing properly. They're looking for services. They're looking for, widgets and things like that. And so I'm asking you, if you're not certified, if you are home working from home, you get a little more opportunity, please go in and get your certifications for your city, your state, and for the federal government. That's another opportunity. These are all ways to jumpstart your business and to put more money back into your business, right? And then, of course, I'm asking you to make sure that you have a plan. Whatever you are looking to do, make sure you're coming up with a plan. Your small business development centers are a key place. I know in the Virgin Islands, UVI has a wonderful space for that. I still get the newsletters and the webinars that they're still doing to help with your finances, to help with your business plans, to help with your marketing plan. Marketing is key. One of the things we discussed, Anthony, on this show is that small businesses were not putting their money into marketing. That's no longer the case. You have to, in order for your customer to know, your target market to know that you're out there, you're going to have to put some money into your marketing, right? So marketing is going to be key. Another way that you can do that is right here on this platform, Jumpstart the Economy. So those are all things, tools and tips, and there's so many other strategies that we'll discuss when we go over to the next platform. But I just want businesses to understand it's not all doom and gloom. There is opportunities, and I want to make sure that we're taking advantage of those opportunities. And then again, the pizza. I go back to the pizza that Anthony didn't share with us. Right?
I did virtually.
He shared it virtually, okay? But I go back to that opportunity. They were doing business inside of a location, and now they're freezing the pizzas and they're able to ship them, right? They're able to be in the supermarkets. And so looking at other ways that you can get your product out to market is also going to be key in this pandemic time to make sure that you're staying in business, to make sure that your business continues to have money, to make sure that people know you're still open for business. And then for us personally, making sure that we're utilizing the businesses in our neighborhoods, in our communities, because that's the way that we're going to help them stay in business. So making sure that our networks understand that our local mom and pops are still open, and then getting over to those mom and pops and then purchasing the services that we need in our neighborhood to make sure that they're continuing to stay in our neighborhood. All of those things are going to be key to making sure that we are sustaining our business, that we're jumpstarting our economy. And as Anthony said in the beginning, it's no longer a situation where we're not aware of what the next is going to be, because we've gone through this for so many months and we're in a space of preparation now for the next wave or whatever this is. And a part of that is going to be to get in it, to be ready, not to get ready, to be be ready. So if you are ready, you don't have to get ready. And so that's the message today for all our small businesses, audiences that are listening to us today. Be ready so that you are able to pivot, so that you are able to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
My message.
And we designed a platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jumpstart the economy and the reopening of business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an important tool that provides a wealth of information. When
That's
you
right.
go there, actually, let me give you the website. You go to www.jumpstarteconomy.us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's www.jumpstarteconomy.us. And when you go there, trust me, you won't be disappointed. There is a ton. All the stuff that Terry and I are talking about and our other
Mm-hmm.
colleagues are literally there at your fingertip.
That's right.
We created a what you call a COVID-19 or pandemic central hub. When you want to know what's happening throughout the entire country in real time, and you want to get and you have to make a decision as to whether or not you need to travel or you need to engage someone, and you need to know whether or not a particular market is open or is locked down or shut down. This platform called jumpstarteconomy.us will literally put at your fingertip all of the information on every state in the union and territory.
That's
what's
right.
going on, even also throughout the Caribbean. So if you want to know what's happening throughout the entire Caribbean, you will also get a status on what's happening throughout the Caribbean with every island, and also our affiliate in the United Kingdom, in the UK as well. So we felt that we needed to kind of create sort of a central hub where it's easy for you to navigate. You don't need to try to figure out where to go and where, what information should you be looking at. It's all in one centralized location at your fingertip, and you're able to watch us when we're broadcasting live. We are broadcasting live on the homepage, but I got to tell you, you have to go there to see what we're talking about. That's www.jumpstarteconomy.us. We talk about the reopening of businesses. We talk about the different things you need to do to protect your business, to protect yourselves and your employee, to protect your family. It's just a whole, whether you're government, whether you're public sector, whether you're private sector, whether you're for-profit, nonprofit. I mean, it's everything is right there at your fingertip, can be convenient for you.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do, we're going to switch over, Terry, to the second segment of the program.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll continue. I'll give the latest numbers. The numbers are just crazy as to what's going on with this pandemic.
Yeah.
So we'll come back. We'll see you on the other side, guys. This is Terry and Anthony for Jumpstart on JumpStart TV, the Marketplace Reset. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.